USC football, big moves with a brand new head coach. What about the Dodgers letting the big stars go? Angels starting to make some pitching moves. What about the Padres? A little quiet there. Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. Whoo, it's been a minute, everybody. I know we haven't been on Sideline Sports Podcast for a long time, but this is it. We're officially back. Center Locked is fully on the road, on way. And Jose and I will be back, and along with Mark as well. He'll be coming back next week, so don't sleep on it. The whole crew will be back all together. But I'm Alex Naveja, the host of Sideline Sports Podcast via Sideline Sports Media, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. And on my left-hand side, my wingman, he has the brains for everything there is to know about soccer, and don't sleep on him and the other sports that he's got going on. But Jose Duran, how's it going, my man? I know we haven't been together as long, but how's everything going on your end?
It is great, Alex. It's great to be back with you here and talking Southern California sports. Missing, obviously, Mark, but like I said, we'll have him back sooner rather than later, and you're going to go ahead and, start talking about, USC football, Dodgers baseball, and to get to it, man. I'm ready for it.
Hey, we've got a lot to talk about. How about USC making a big-time move and bringing in Oklahoma University coach and Lincoln Riley? I mean, USC Nation right now is going crazy with bringing him in to a USC program that very much needed all the help that they can get, finishing up 4-5. And this is a USC team that really is usually in the mix when it comes to the Pac-12 South, but it's Utah that ends up winning that division with a landslide. But bringing in head coach Lincoln Riley now that kind of has a nice little ring to it. USC head coach Lincoln Riley. And I mean, Oklahoma was very disappointed to lose him and to go into the bowl game without Coach Lincoln Riley, but he made his press conference appearance already there at the Coliseum, and he's already made his presence known, and he was already saying that he can just feel the energy in LA and just loves being in LA, and he knows this is a pack that is determined to win. But Jose, I'll give you the mic. What have been your thoughts as to bringing in Coach Lincoln Riley?
Huge move, great move, the right move, quiet move, because nobody really had brought Lincoln Riley's name up in terms of who was going to be the next head coach for USC. But it just changes everything for them, when it seemed like I remember following Arash Markazi's tweets out there throughout the season. It was just the worst of the worst for he's been there for every game. So every game was just the worst statistical possible for the Trojans, dating back in terms of since the beginning of the program, records that are horribly negative for their program throughout this season and in years past. So that changes completely everything. Lincoln Riley just makes you that coach, that presence. He's able to be that person to go ahead and just jump on whenever he has to go ahead and recruit, right? Because that's another big part of what he's there for, is to bring good recruits, and he's doing so with bringing that presence. He sits in your couch as a 5-star recruit when you're coming out of high school, telling you to go ahead and join the program, that he'll show you the way to get to the NFL. You're going to go ahead and want to go ahead and take that call. That wasn't happening a couple of days ago, I would say, for USC. Huge for USC, huge for the program. This changes everything, but really bad for Oklahoma and Sooners.
That's going to be a tough blow for the Sooners to have to take in. But, I mean, I still think they're going to be in good standings. I'm not worried about Oklahoma. This is one of the biggest top tiers programs in the nation. So I'm really not even worried about Oklahoma. But, I mean, what's coming for USC, it was getting to the point where there were no recruits coming in and wanting to come to USC anymore. Nobody wanted to commit to USC. But now that they get a big name head coach, now everybody's going to want to come in. And you mentioned the recruits and people, there's students that are now decommitting to Oklahoma. I mean, and a local boy close to USC from Los Alamitos High School, their quarterback, and Malkie Nelson, he has decided to decommit himself from Oklahoma, and now he has committed to USC. There has been a tweet that he released, and it was a graphic of him saying staying home, and it just says, yeah, this feels right. And he is actually one of the top quarterback classes, a class of 2023. So we'll be seeing him very soon as a Trojan.
Yeah, 6'3", 175 pounds, probably from Los Alamitos High, like you mentioned there, Alex, and it's part of the whole process, right? As soon as Coach Riley left, all those recruits that he kind of brought over to the program, and it's a great thing that the NCAA want to go ahead and change that decision and be able to go ahead and decommission 7 Oklahoma players decommissioned from the program. So it's going to be a huge impact for them. It's going to be a bigger impact for USC. I mean, just right off the bat, like you mentioned, he's the second best quarterback in the class of 2023. So it's going to be a huge impact for the program. It's going to be a huge impact for Coach Riley and what he's going to be able to bring for the first year. I'm excited. I know Mark's going to be excited for sure. So it's going to be nothing but butterflies for now. But now it's time to get to work. And I know that's exactly what Coach is doing now. I know that he's not going to go ahead and take any time off to get started to make sure that next season it's a complete turnaround for the Trojans.
No doubt. I don't see him really wasting any time with making changes with USC. So I really do see him making a difference. And another player that hasn't really decided, but it looks like things may be changing. Don't quote me on that, folks. Yeah, but according to ESPN 300 running back Ralik Brown, he's still committed to Oklahoma. He is part of the 2022 class. He told ESPN on Sunday that Riley joining USC changes everything in his recruitment. That's from ESPN saying that himself. So imagine getting a running back like Ralik Brown to bring him in as a Trojan as well. You're bringing in some top tier recruits to USC. And you know what? This is bringing you back like early 2000 vibes when Coach Pete Carroll was with USC and how they won a national championship in the early 2000s and everything. And we could potentially be seeing USC back to where they were originally.
Well, they have to be, as unfortunately as I'm sure a lot of UCLA fans don't like to hear, but that's exactly where USC has to be. And then the NCAA need this, right? It's like when the Lakers are good, when Real Madrid is good, when all these top teams around the world are good in their respective leagues, the league does good overall. So the NCAA needed to go ahead and have USC come in and take the realms back again, make some noise, be that West Coast powerhouse that they once were, like you mentioned before, and sort of kind of go ahead and change the program and turn it around. That's what Lincoln Riley does. That's what he has Ralik Brown going ahead and saying, this changes everything in terms of where he's going to go ahead and end up. So that kind of noise, you're bringing top recruiting quarterback as well. It's exciting times. It's like you mentioned, it's taking us back to those early Pete Carroll years in the early 2000s. It's going to be great times here for USC football.
And definitely USC will have a lot of competition in the quarterback role. You've got Slovis, you've got Dart, and now bringing Nelson on. That's going to be very nice. And I think with this, the USC could potentially maybe keep up with Utah, definitely keep up with the Utes. And then you still have Oregon that you have to pass through as well. And, that's going to be a battle to the end next season. And we'll have to see how that goes next year. And it's just starting, folks. USC making moves, and I believe there's going to be a lot of recruits coming in. But let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball free agency. There's been a lot of buzz going on. Maybe not the buzz that you Dodger fans want to hear about. Angel fans, there's some pretty good buzz for you guys. Padres, it's slowly, it's steady movement for the Padres. But if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news via Sideline Sports Media. We'll be right back.
This is Hector Aguayo, the long snapper for the Santa Ana Dons, and you're watching Sideline Sports Podcast.
And welcome back to second half action of Sideline Sports Podcast. Once again, I am the host, Alex Naveja, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, a source of your SoCal sports news via Sideline Sports Media. And once again, on my left-hand side, that is Jose Duran, the biggest head when it comes down to soccer. But again, never sleep on Jose when it comes down to sports knowledge and anything SoCal sports. He's got it nailed down. But first half, we were talking all about the Lincoln Riley move coming to Southern California to USC and declining that even that LSU rumor that was going around, buzzing around all over the place. But now let's talk about the Dodgers right now. The Dodgers falling short in the postseason, just couldn't go to the World Series. It was the Atlanta Braves getting the better end of it. And really, you go into this free agency, and it's tougher than ever. You look at all of the free agents that the Dodgers have, and it's just a ton of big names hitting you. Scherzer, Kershaw, Seager, Taylor, Jansen. You've got a whole list of guys that what do you do? But to be quite honest with you, I think everybody knew that the Dodgers just were not going to be able to sign everybody in that free agency listing. It's just impossible. It's way over the luxury tax.
Yeah, it was impossible. I mean, it was something that it was inedible. And as Dodger fans and folks who kind of know around baseball, we all knew that there was no way they were going to bring everybody back. And the most important, the one player that kind of everybody knew wasn't going to come back was Corey Seager, right? He wasn't going to go ahead and play anywhere else. For him, maybe he bought the idea of what was going on, and obviously he's going to get, was it $320 million over in Texas, all to him, right? Because he's not going to get none of that tax. So that sounds really good for him. So depending if Kershaw goes to Texas or not, see what kind of team they put around Corey Seager or not. If not, then he just left the Dodgers to go to a no contender and win money. So at the end of the day, what was it for Corey Seager, right? For the Dodgers, obviously, losing him and possibly losing Kershaw and the rest of the client, right? Like Chris Taylor, losing Jansen. It's obviously a problem, but, in Andrew Friedman, we trust. I think we had the same feeling with Mitch Kupchak back in the early 2000s when he had the Rams or the Lakers, when he was controlling everything, losing players and somehow managing a way to put a competitive team out there. I think I feel the same way with Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers organization. They'll find a way to go ahead and put players out there. And then not forget, the Dodgers, unfortunately, were hit with the injury bug last year, and whatever happened outside of baseball, right, in terms of the pitcher that came over in mid-season. But the Dodgers are fine. They have Mookie Betts. They have Dustin May is going to come back, right, as the season's going to start as well. I'm not too worried about them. Who I am too worried about is the Angels. I feel like I know we're going to go ahead and touch upon them too, but that's a team that seems to have tried to make some moves, but the biggest move that they had to didn't happen.
To close down Dodger talk, the Dodgers not only losing Corey Seager, but losing Max Scherzer as well. Before we touch on Scherzer, the plan all along, I believe, was if Seager walked, they were just going to move Turner from second to short, and then that brings in Gavin Lux, and that allows him to get at ABs, gives him innings. That gives him some reps there at second. They were putting him in the outfield to try to keep him in the lineup. That's a power bat. That's a guy that could get on base, steal some bags for you. If you ask me, he was never an outfielder. Never. No. I get it. The Dodgers are all about making everybody utility players, but he's he was not an outfielder. You look at him, he's playing the outfield, still looks like a second baseman, still looks like an infield. An outfielder has different throwing mechanics than an infielder does, and he was still throwing like an infielder. And I think this is going to be a better move for Gavin Lux to put him into second as opposed to putting him in center. I still think that was a "what are you doing, Dave Roberts" moment in the NLCS against the Braves. And it allows Pollock to be able to be back in left field, then Bellinger in center, then Betts there on right. I think the Dodgers are still in good position. I'm not going to say that they have what it takes to, keep up with the Braves, keep up with some of the big NL talent, but it's going to be still good enough. But with losing Max Scherzer, with a huge New York Mets team making signings left and right, just signing the biggest names out there, losing a Max Scherzer is a tough blow too, just because of the starting rotation woes that the Dodgers endured as well, with losing Kershaw on that final day of the postseason, with losing Max Scherzer saying that he was still hurt and still wasn't ready to be able to make that start. So I think that left a bitter taste in the Dodgers' mouth for that one. So I think the Dodgers rotation will still be solid with bringing in Dustin May coming back from Tommy John surgery. We'll see how he does. Diaz is still there.
Yeah.
You still have Buehler. You still have Gonsolin as well. And there's still the Mitch White that's still there as well in the minor leagues. So
to me, I feel it's the Dodgers are going to go as far as and are going to be as good as Cody Bellinger is. Well, Cody Bellinger is going to show up. You're going to have the Cody Bellinger that's going to be barely batting 200 or flirting with the 200, not barely getting to 200 line, or you're going to have the MVP Cody Bellinger, Rookie of the Year Cody Bellinger, because that all plays a difference, Alex, right? Because then you don't have to have Gavin Lux be playing center field. Then you'll have a great outfield with Pollock, Bellinger, and Mookie Betts. But if you don't have that kind of Cody Bellinger, it plays an effect, because then you lose games in the regular season that play a big part of it, right? In terms of that strikeout that happens in the 8th inning or whatnot, or that hit that doesn't happen, which we were, as Dodger fans, seeing Cody Bellinger struggle throughout the whole season. So those games that end up losing you and costing you throughout the regular season end up being the reason why you're in a wild card game, ends up being why you don't have home court advantage throughout the regular postseason. So the Dodgers are going to be as good as Cody Bellinger is. If they have the Cody Bellinger who has an MVP season as he had a couple of years ago, they're going to be, again, the Dodgers they could be. And if not, it's going to be the same question marks that we had going into the playoffs. What Cody Bellinger was going to have, we were going to have. Is the team going to get hot or not? Too many injuries. It's going to be an interesting year, but so far for the Dodgers, they're losing a lot of key players, and most importantly, they're losing that kind of heart of that Dodger championship team from 2020.
Losing these big names are going to be very tough for the Dodgers. I think they're going to be as good as their starting rotation and their bullpen is going to be, which is why the Dodgers did sign Daniel Hudson from the Washington Nationals, 1 year, $7 million. And this could be a move that could potentially help them. And also bringing in Andrew Heaney. That's going to be a nice little project that they're going to want to do, critique his pitching mechanics, try to tweak him out. He was a Dodger for 5 minutes only a couple years ago when they acquired him from the Angels for Howie Kendrick. And now he is a Dodger for a full year, unless he gets traded away, of course. But bringing some arms into the Dodgers system, see how they're going to critique that. Now, we talk about pitching. Angels been making some pitching moves here and there, and they really addressed the pitching woes. I mean, the first one, the big one, bringing in Noah Syndergaard, the 1 year deal, and paying him a whole lot of money. But I think if you signed him when he was in his prime, that's an amazing signing, but it's just kind of one of those, what are we getting here? Are we getting a healthy Noah Syndergaard?
Yeah.
Are we going to get the Noah Syndergaard that was struggling? Or are we going to get that prime? Are we going to get Thor, the real Thor, not the fake one that you'll see in the swap meet or anything, but the real Thor? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's someone who hasn't pitched in since 2019, or they did pitch. I think it was 2 innings that they've pitched in 2019. So coming off of Tommy John, not an idea what kind of pitcher you're getting The Angels, I mean, but they're known for kind of throwing money out there like that. They threw it at Albert Pujols with that 10-year contract when he was coming off that great seasons with the Cardinals. That didn't play out so well, right? This time around, who knows if it is it? But my biggest theme for the Angels, Ohtani in his first year already getting frustrated in terms of, okay, well, what are we doing here? Where's this team going? Trout seems like he's kind of getting towards the same way, but he signed a big contract before, so he doesn't get to go ahead and have any say or whine about what kind of what's going to happen because he signed a big contract. But as Angel fans, I mean, I'll be upset in terms of what are we doing here? We should have signed Scherzer. Sure, they said that they came in a close second for making that signing. The Dodgers weren't almost in the conversation towards the end. The Angels were, but second doesn't win you a championship. Second doesn't do well. Mike Trout hasn't been in the playoffs since 2012. That one series that they were against Detroit. They need to go ahead and have the best player be in the playoffs, not only for the Angels but for Major League Baseball. That's what they need. They didn't pull that trigger. So, yeah, you have, again, Syndergaard, what are we going to get? Who knows if he's great or not? You have Ohtani, then who? That would have been it. Syndergaard, Ohtani, Scherzer. You could put them however you would have wanted. That would have been a scary rotation heading into the postseason. They didn't do that. They struck out. The Texas Rangers are making moves. The Astros are going to be who they are. The Angels and the AL West is stacked, and it's not stacked in favor of the Angels.
Not to mention what's going on in Seattle as well. The Mariners making moves left and right here in baseball as well. That's a team that could be up on the rise as well. The A's are on their way down. Texas is on their way up. Seattle's on their way up as well. So instead of the NL West getting all the blaze, all the glory, and all the eyes are going to go to the American League West and see how will Trout and Ohtani work together. This new Seattle Mariners team that's coming up, then picking up Adam Frazier from the San Diego Padres, and it looked like the Padres got some arms to help them out as well. And what's going on in Texas with signing Simeon, Calhoun, and now Seager, things going up there in Texas. And then, of course, the Astros are the Astros. Even if they lose Correa, they're still a stacked team. They still have it going on. They're still the Astros, regardless how you put it on. But the Angels signing Aaron Loop, and of course, a very close player to Angel Stadium, and Michael Lorenzen as well, former Cal State Fullerton alum, and just trying to really stack up on these arms for the Angels. And when they mentioned we're going to address pitching, they're addressing the pitching. But again, these are not the big name guys that you really need to sign. Like a big name pitcher is what you need. Don't sign him to a Albert Pujols contract, Josh Hamilton contract, or anything like that. I'm just talking about, hey, the GM is better. He is better, and he knows what he's doing better. But they're collecting pitching, and I have to tip the cap to the Angels. I said pitching is what we need. We've got offense throughout the whole entire lineup with Fletcher, with Rendon, Trout, with Ohtani, but I have to give it to them. They're making the moves.
To me, it's not good enough. It's not good enough to get on what they have. I mean, that window for Mike Trout is closing, and it's closing sooner rather than later for them. Hats to them to go ahead and making moves where they have to, because we all know that they have to go ahead and get pitching. But, I mean, not getting Scherzer, that was the biggest blow for me on my end, because the Angels, you know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be excited. Everyone's going to be rooting to go ahead and get them going at the beginning of the year, pumping up they would. And then they're going to fall 10 games under 500 come in April. And it's going to keep getting worse, fighting to be 500. And we're going to be having the same conversation next year in terms of them getting arms. So, I mean, the window's ticking for Mike Trout. Angel fans know that. The true Angel fans know that, you know, at least what the front office and Artie Moreno are doing down there. I don't think it's good enough, man.
Hey, I mean, I don't think it's going to be good enough to win them a championship or even a division. No. This division is is getting stacked as we speak, and the offseason is still not even done yet. We're still months away from spring training and for pitchers and catchers to report. So we still have to wait and see what's left to come for these teams. But how about the team that is 2 hours down south from the Angels, and that's the San Diego Padres? pretty quiet on there. And as well, I mean, they did get a new manager, and just other than that, we haven't really seen any trades or any moves that they've been doing. The only trade really to report was that trade to get rid of Adam Frazier to Seattle. They were able to get 2 relievers out of the trade. But other than that, the Padres are usually the team these past 2 years that by this time, they already had that monstrous rotation.
Yeah, they're playing it slow. It seems like they kind of just go ahead and playing their cards right. But in terms of, making moves, they did go ahead and acquire that a catcher from the Marlins, Jorge Alfaro. And, in terms of what the Padres are going to do, I mean, I think they're pretty set in terms of the powerhouse that they already kind of assembled. They're missing a couple of pieces. Getting rid of the coach that the manager they had last year was a great move for them to go ahead and get moving. So it's a slow start, but I mean, don't sleep on the Padres. I mean, to be honest, they're in a division with the Dodgers and the Giants. I don't see them making any big moves towards the postseason next year. But who knows? I mean, you know how baseball happens, and nobody kind of really saw the Giants this year. Everybody kind of thought it was going to be the Dodgers and the Padres going toe to toes. Didn't go that way, so I wouldn't sleep on the Padres. Come next year as well.
I think the Padres could still make it happen as well. I mean, bringing in Bob Melvin from the A's, I think that's a manager full of knowledge and just full of experience as far as what he has to offer from Oakland, and coming in with a team that's already set. It's already stacked. Like, you already have a starting rotation you already have it made there. You have a lineup that is stacked with Tatis, who was an MVP candidate. You have Machado as well. And you have just the team that they have. You have a Jay Cronenworth. You've got the outfield made for you with Trent Grisham. You've got Myers. Man, you could just go on and on and on with the Padres. And really, you just have to find a way to make this team mesh, honestly. It's the chemistry at this point for the Padres. That's why they went downhill. That's why there were problems with Tatis and Machado. And then you saw when the trading deadline was going on, Eric Hosmer, when he heard that he was on the trade block, the chemistry went out of whack there too in the trade deadline. So I just think the Padres need to put the team together. I think Bob Melvin's going to be the answer to that. I think he's going to be the good manager that the Padres needed all along. I think the Padres it was too much for Jace Tingler to handle. And I really think the Padres could this time get their money's worth and maybe leapfrog over the Dodgers, because as of right now, how things are going, it looks like the Padres have the better rotation as far as with having Darvish with the whole entire rotation, say, with Blake Zilla, of course, and they are looking better than the Dodgers, even just looking at it right now.
Yeah, and it's a scary part for the Dodgers, right? Because then it's the Giants they have to worry about, and then unfortunately for the Dodgers, I mean, I did say earlier in the podcast that I put everything in Andrew Friedman's hands, and I still do so. And Friedman we trust, but it's kind of a scary thought going into the next season with a lot of question marks, not knowing what's going to happen, what relievers are going to come in. Right, if Jansen leaves, who replaces him? If Kershaw leaves, who replaces him? Obviously, Seager does. They had obviously. With Jake Turner coming in, an option there, which was great for us here, but it's kind of a scary thought going into the off season and knowing that you're going to be having a three-way battle for the NL West possibly for next year, and for the Dodgers, for what happened this year, moving into the wild card, that didn't help for them this season. So hopefully for them next year, it's a different ending, but heading into the offseason, it's a scary thought knowing that San Diego's knocking on their doors, and it's going to be a three-way fight for the NL West title again.
And you mentioned the Giants too. Most of their starting rotation is on the free agency market. It's only Logan Webb, who is the biggest face in that starting rotation, that's going to hold it down for the San Francisco Giants. And honestly, you don't even know what you could get from the Gigantes up there in San Francisco. So this NL West, right now it's a mystery with what's going on in LA with San Diego, as they could still be a team that they could finally jump over the Dodgers. And it's going to be interesting how the remainder of the offseason is going to play off here in Major League Baseball. Don't sleep sleep on those three SoCal teams, Angels, Dodgers, Padres. They are going to have it all going on. And make sure to follow us on all of our social media platform as well. We will make sure to keep you guys covered, especially on Twitter. If there's any moves going on in the free agency and anything that's going on in Southern California sports, we're always up to date with it on our Twitter. So just make sure, hit the follow button, of course, down below for all of our social media platforms and our social media as well down in the description below. And of course, hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the thumbs up as well, guys. This is just the beginning. We are finally back here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We are going to be back on the weekly grind. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and comment down below your guys' thoughts on Lincoln Riley being the new USC coach. We want to hear all about the free agency moves that the Dodgers have not made. Have they made? The Angels, their thoughts, your guys' thoughts on the pitching moves they've made. How about the Padres with maybe they're lacking the moves? Are they doing the right moves? We just want to hear you guys, what you guys have to say and what you guys' thoughts on the whole entire thing, just because, of course, there's always something going on in Southern California sports. But I'm Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. I'm the host of Sideline Sports Podcast, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports via Sideline Sports Media. And of course, as always, Jose Duran himself, the mastermind for soccer, all soccer in Sideline Sports Media. Always a pleasure to have you on, Jose.
Pleasure as always, Alex. Great to go ahead and get back in the mix of things. Great to be back at Sideline Sports Media. Can't wait to get back all three of us with Mark joining on the team, but it was great to go ahead and talk Southern California sports with you again.
Of course, man. And not going to give a lot of information, but something new is coming up for Sideline Sports. I know Jose knows all about that one, but we're going to go ahead and keep it a little secret. That's why you got to follow us on all of our social media platforms. But that's all the time we have left. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. Have a good night, everybody, and enjoy all of the college football playoffs.